what's the craziest situation you've ever been in a crawl space?
Just recently in Shirley, actually, it was like literally like a swamp. It was a muddy swamp, dead cat in the
Oh,
corner. Yeah, yeah,
a
and
dead cat in the
yeah,
corner.
it's
Was it their
that
cat?
that.
Like we finally found Fluffy, or was this one?
Uh,
Welcome back to the Dream is Real podcast, where we help buyers, sellers, investors navigate the dynamic New York State real estate market. I'm your host, Jay Koch, a proud member of the Dream Select Realty team located here on Long Island. And whether you're dreaming of owning your own home or you're looking to invest in properties or aiming to get the best possible return from your current property, this is going to be the show for you. I am tackling with a professional here two areas in the home that could be problematic: basements and crawl spaces, those places that you were afraid of as a kid. Well, there's good reason for concern about those places in the home as an adult. And our special guest today, Mike Hamza from the Healthy Basement Systems out of Medford, New York, is going to share his expert knowledge on how to maintain, repair, what to look out for as a home buyer, seller, investor. So, Mike, thanks for joining me here today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So you're located right here in Medford. Where you work all throughout Long Island, Nassau, and Suffolk County?
Oh yeah, yeah. The home office is in Medford, and all the sales guys and everyone, we all convene on Fridays. But Monday through Thursday, everyone covers all of Long Island, all the way from almost Queens to all the way out to Cutchogue, Montauk, out east. So we're all over the place.
Awesome. So tell me about the Healthy Basement Systems. Healthy Basement Systems. What is it that you provide for homeowners here on Long Island?
Healthy basement systems is anytime there's any issues in the basement or crawl space, water intrusion from the sill plate down. We really tackle all groundwater seepage, anything coming from where the wall meets with the floor, any type of footing issues where the water is coming from below, and when the crawl spaces are wet and musty, and just things that typical homeowners don't want to talk about or deal with unless it becomes an issue. And my role specifically as a real estate response team rep is to help, listing agents, agents with buyers to get ahead of a home inspection report that might come about saying that there's a water intrusion area, call a waterproofer and things like that. Help, people sell their homes, without, breaking the bank with, trying to fix the issues for the, incoming buyer. Things like that.
Right. These two places in the home are very much out of sight, out of mind, but that can't be the case if you're looking to do a real estate transaction. Give me a sense of what are some of the issues that you could be walking into and ultimately stuck with if you don't look to have a professional get into these spaces.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right, where like, the homeowner doesn't think it's as bad as it is until they go to sell their home, and then there's a prospective buyer coming in. They're doing a walkthrough either with a home inspector or before one, appraiser or whatnot. And then if you come down the stairs and you see, whether it's like efflorescence on the wall, which is kind of just like a minerally white discharge from water. If you have a concrete block wall, if it's a poured wall, you can kind of see it come in where the wall meets the floor in those seams. Any type of water issues coming up from the bottom. Maybe it's a window in your basement that you see it coming down the seam or the crack. Things like that. We also do cracks in the foundation as well. If there's a vertical crack, we could, fix that easily. We want people to know to not run away if you're trying to buy a home and you see some water issues in the crawl space or basement. We can fix it. That's not something that you should not. If you spend time, researching the area and the schools, and you love the neighborhood, and all of a sudden you love the house, and then you go downstairs and there's a musty, mildewy smell, or you see some water issues, like that shouldn't deter you from buying a home. Our company specifically deals with those issues day in and day out. And my role specifically is to help, buyers get into homes and realtors get to the closing table.
Got it. So you've probably seen this issue either halt real estate transactions completely, maybe due to overreaction. I think what you hit on a little bit there. I mean, you hear something wrong with the foundation, and immediately you equate it to, hey, it's totaled like a car. But you're saying that that's not the case.
Absolutely. There's certain situations where, like, yes, you probably should walk away, but more times than not, the situations that I walk into are very, very fixable. And honestly, more times than not, less money than you think to actually fix it. So,
what are some of the main issues and then the causes of those issues that you see, in crawl spaces and basements?
One of the biggest reason why basements have water leaks and water intrusion is because of just over time. When there's like a bowl effect, right? There's a foundation. They dig around the house. They go down 8, 10 feet or whatnot, and then they pour the foundation. And then there's a natural seam when they pour the floor of the foundation, and then they have to put in the walls, right? There's a natural seam because there's two separate joints. And then back in the day, they used to put a footing around the whole perimeter of the outside. Now, more times than not, they don't do that. Even when they did do that, over time, they would get, mud, silt, and all different stuff in those footing drains, and then it would stop it from any groundwater, depending on the water table or what area you live in. But typically, it's when the natural seam from where they pour the foundation floor to where they put the wall in, that natural seam is just over time, concrete shrinks. And then just the water is the path of least resistance, and it just finds its way in. Hydrostatic pressure, it sounds like a big word, but it's really just a lot of water coming from the top down, and it just finds its way down, and then it's just going to find its way into cracks and nooks and crannies, and that's typical, and there's really no way to stop it, honestly.
I was going to ask that question. Is there a way to maintain it, or is it just something that, hey, over time it needs to be expected that most homes are going to have that seam somehow compromised, and someone like yourself, maybe at a cost less than they expect, can come in and fix that? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what's great about our company is that we kind of patent we do a lot of the same things as a lot of companies. However, we have kind of changed with the times, and a lot of companies will do French drains, and we have a French drain, but we patented a new system that is a better way of doing it, so we can monitor it and service it once we input the stuff. We never do any work around the outside of the house. We only do the work inside the house, and sometimes that right there blows people's minds because they think that you want to stop it from coming from outside to inside. But it's concrete is going to shrink over time. It's just that's just going to happen. Concrete blocks they have those natural seams all over the place. There's just everything from where it goes from the concrete to the floorboards and the rim joists. It's just over time it's going to happen, and it's just hopefully you're in a home that it happens later later than sooner. So it's just there's really no good answer to this. It's just over time, concrete shrinks, and the water's going to find its path of least resistance. Hopefully you're just in an area that the water table isn't as high as some, or you're not by the water. And if you're by the water, to be completely honest with you, you have to kind of assume some of the stuff's going to happen over time.
Sure. So at what point do you come in the process for the inspection? I know obviously you can come in afterwards for repairs if anything's found, but what's the ideal scenario? Let's say I'm looking to let's talk about a seller, right? Because I guess, would you say that it would vary between seller, buyer, investor bringing you in? I mean, I guess buyer and investor would be similar. But if I'm looking to sell my home right now, when do I invite my Kamza into the process?
So if you're trying to sell the home, typically a prospective buyer has come there with their agent, and maybe they're in due diligence, or maybe it's before it. They get an appraisal, they get a home inspection report, and then on that report it says something about the crawl space or basement having water issues or water damage or water, call a waterproofer. That the seller typically goes off of that, right? And then I'll go off the report, say, hey, the seller will be like, I got a report from a buyer. They like the house, but there's an issue downstairs. And can you come and look at it? Because I want to see how bad it is, how much it is. And maybe there'll be a selling tool or negotiating tool to lower the price for the seller, or maybe the seller will think it's cheaper for them to do the work now and then, keep the price where it was. For the seller though, it's a tricky situation because we know that he's not going to be in the home for the next 10 to 15 years to really kind of see the fruits of his labor if he calls someone like me and my company to come in, right? That's really going to be more for the benefit of the buyer coming in. But as a seller, you want to just do what you have to do and get the job done. Typically minimally, not minimally, they want to get the job done, they want to get it done right, but they don't want to, break the bank on something that they're not living in anymore because they obviously have, future endeavors into a new home. So, with a buyer, a prospective buyer calling me after a home inspection report, they want everything that they know can be done, and they want to move into a house that has no issues, right? No one wants to move into a brand new house. It would have to have like a construction site for them the first 2 weeks.
Sure.
They want it done. They don't want to have any issues. They want to have peace of mind. So that's the level there. The buyer typically wants it all, and then the seller, wants to get the job done, but at a minimal cost.
Any differing issues between crawl spaces and basements, or they're both very similar to what you would look for?
Crawl spaces, I mean, the issue, they're all symptoms of a bigger issue with the water coming in from the floor where it meets the wall. That's kind of similar, but the crawls could be only like a 2 feet height crawl. Like, it could be 2 feet, right? It could be the span of the whole house. I've been in a house in Long Beach with this huge mansion on the water, and the crawl is literally the size of the whole square footage of the whole home. And then there's could be some crawl spaces that are maybe just like 15 by 15. And, it's just, there's a lot of misnomers out there about, insulation. And, a lot of people put insulation down, in the crawl space that, between the floorboards to try to save energy and keep the heat in or keep the air in or whatever season you're in. And that's typically invites more moisture to come into spaces like that. And we like to control the temperatures downstairs, especially in crawl spaces. We like to control the temperature. We like to close off the vents. We like to keep it at, we the relative humidity low. So you don't want to invite any outside air in. If it's on a hot summer day, you don't want the hot air coming into a cool, musty, space like the crawl space. So it's similar, but not similar. So, but it's all the same issues as far as the water intrusion and how it gets there.
Now, when it gets really tight, like you said, sometimes 2 feet by 2 feet, are you getting in there? And
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
I'm not a big
Unfortunately,
fan
yeah.
of tight spaces. So I tip my hat to you because I don't
Yeah.
know. What's the craziest situation you've ever been in a crawl space?
Just recently in Shirley, actually, it was like literally like a swamp. It was a muddy swamp, dead cat in the
Oh,
corner. Yeah, yeah,
a
and
dead cat in the
yeah,
corner.
it's
Was it their
that
cat?
that.
Like we finally found Fluffy, or was this one?
I don't believe so because when I told the homeowner, he was kind of he was an out of state homeowner. He lived in
Okay,
Connecticut and he was just trying to sell the house. So I really just dealt with the realtor, but they didn't seem too upset about it when I mentioned it.
got
So
it.
I'm assuming it was maybe just a neighborhood stray. But yeah, no, it's part of the job. I know there's people in my company that like get to a certain point in their career where, or maybe they're at a certain point in their age or their health that like you can't get down in there because it's tight. I'm telling you, it's it's tight. But what the first thing that they tell us, everyone in my company, because I've talked to my coworkers before, is that more times than not, every other company, there are guys don't go in there. They're like, wow, you actually went under there and did it and took pictures and measurements. I couldn't believe it. The last guy just stuck his head under there and just told me, just told me whatever he wanted and then left and sent me the proposal. He's like, you actually spent the time under there. So, we take pride in it. This is what we do every
Yeah,
day.
well,
So
I'm sure if you're talking about you talked about the Long Beach house that had almost the entire
it's
house.
huge.
There are probably so many places where there could be small compromises if you're not willing to get in there, whether by tool or whether just getting in there in general to check everything out. I'm sure that there's things that can be missed as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, at that house, you know how like a mechanic has like that little like slider when he goes underneath the car to look up underneath the
Yep.
engine. Like he's got that little like it's like a bobsled sled without the that's what they had in that house so you can get around. That's how big the square footage was. But yes, you're right. Yeah, if you don't get in there, there's been plenty of times where I've heard in these Friday sales meetings that I just got out of. That's really why they still have these at our company, even though we're so busy, is to make sure that everyone's bouncing things off of each other and their weekly experiences in homes. And sometimes people say, hey, I wasn't about to go in there, but good thing I did. I didn't realize there was a pump in the corner. You couldn't see it because of all the dirt and debris. So yeah, you definitely don't want to be that person to miss something just because you didn't take the time to get in there.
Awesome. And I definitely want to leverage your expertise on the side of obviously real estate response. What other advice, maybe some things that we didn't hit on, could you give to the prospective buyer or seller in regards to these two areas of the home?
Yeah, so for a buyer, it's I see it too often that they don't give people like us a chance to get in there and let them know, like, listen, it's not as bad as it looks. We see this every day. Give us an opportunity. Like, you don't need to get all the bells and whistles. Like, yes, we are experts in basements and crawl spaces. We patent all our most of all our products have a life infrastructure warranty, and we have transferable free warranties, waterproofing warranties from someone that's selling their home to someone that's buying their home. It goes, it transfers for free from one homeowner to the next, and we have a lot to offer. And that might scare some people away thinking that we might be too much money or whatnot, but I'm telling you, the more times than not that the prospective buyers give us an opportunity to help the situation at a home that they already kind of fell in love with, to not walk away before, doing your, due diligence on how we can help and how fast we can do it. And for sellers that, don't lower the price right away before having someone like us, someone like me come look at it. I have free inspection. We could do a pay at close option if you have some money and finances tied up in the next home that you're trying to buy. We're not trying to take your money all the way. We're not trying to take the realtor's money either. We'll get paid at the table through the proceeds of the house, just like the realtor would at the day of the closing. We'll do it the week before closing. Just don't be so quick to want to negotiate the price of the home before getting a price for trying to fix the issues downstairs, because you never know. It could be a lot less than what you're dropping the value of your home to. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Mike, I appreciate your time. Anything else that you want to add in closing?
no, I just I'm pretty excited. We have the Long Island Board of Realtors educational conference we're going to. Should be about 800 realtors going there next Wednesday, and then Crest Hollow Country Club. I'm in a LeTip networking meeting, so things like this, I'm more than appreciative. I really appreciate your patience on our scheduling conflicts, and I'm happy we were able to do it. And hopefully you got some good content that you don't have to edit out too much.
No, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to chat with us. Healthy Basement Systems out of Medford, New York. How can we get in touch with you, Mike?
You can call me directly, especially if you're a prospective buyer or trying to sell your home, or if you're a listing agent or buying agent. You can call me directly at 631-848-3051. Or you can call the office, of course. Healthybasementsystems.com is our website. It's pretty easy. Typically, directly to me, I always get back to you. And more times than not, when I get a call from my call center, I'm able to get to the house within 24 to 48 hours. More times than not, so I'm readily available.
That's a great turnaround. Thanks again, Mike, and thanks for tuning in to the Dream is Real podcast. Again, big thank you to Mike from Healthy Basement Systems for sharing his expertise on basements and crawl spaces. And if you found this episode helpful, please subscribe and leave us a review. Until next time, remember, the dream is real, New York, and it is in real estate. Have a great day.
Thank you.